Hello and welcome to Talk of Good Gamers match preview. West Ham United taking on Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday evening. Match day 5 of the Premier League. Big wins for both teams at the weekend as the Hammers picked up their first result against Aston Villa. Meanwhile, Spurs beat a tasty and enthusiastic Nottingham Forest at the City ground. Gonzo, kick us off as always, please, with your thoughts on our opponents.
I think there's some similarities actually between West Ham and a sort of battle between the manager and the ownership. And I think they've got a really, really good manager there who's probably a bigger personality than Daniel Levy. And I think that's crucial. I think that's important. I think it's probably important that he's confident enough in his own ability and he's got a backing of a good CV to be able to put his foot down with him. So he came in, he's demanded money, he's demanded support, he's looked at it, he's wanted to get rid of players quickly. And a great example of that, I think, would be Dele Alli, where we were never privy to the conversation, but you get the impression that Conte's gone in there, he's had a little look of it, I don't want him, I don't want him, get him out of here. And you'd imagine Daniel Levy's probably saying, well, hold on a second, he's an asset there, let's make it work, I need to recoup a certain amount of money. And actually, you can't say Everton got a good deal because it didn't work out. But I mean, no doubt that Daniel Levy had a premium price on Dele Alli that he didn't want him to leave for. And actually, they let him leave on a deal that Daniel Levy never would have done. And I think that was an example of the manager putting his foot down there. And I think it's really important he does that when you've got a chairman like Levy so he can sort of reshape the club in the way that he sees it being. I think they've got an excellent stadium. I think they're probably a little bit unlucky, and it looks like they've got it together now, and the season they've got it together seems to coincide with a season where their biggest rivals have also got it together, so that's interesting. I don't think they got years to do it, Geo, because I don't think he's a manager that stays there for years. He doesn't have a history of doing that, so they've got their best chance in a long time now, I think.
Yeah, I think Ndombele is probably another good example of the Conte thing. They spent big money on him. Conte come in and said, get him out. So they loaned him out. And even now it's like, well, he's back now. No, I still don't want him. Get rid of him. Move him on. I don't care what we paid for him. He's not part of my squad. Viguli on as well. 2 players that cost a bit of money. Big players, big names. But Conte don't want them. And they're just not going to have a part in the Tottenham team. I think when last season, so the second half of last season, I was thoroughly impressed by Spurs. They were playing really good football. Son, Kane and Kulusevski was an unbelievable attacking trio, scoring loads of goals as well. This season, I find them quite... I think they've almost gone a little bit too Conte to some extent. Very hard to break down, but it's tough to watch them at times. It's not the most entertaining team. And for a team with that much talent and ability in it, and you would expect them to be able to score 3 goals a game, they're not really doing that. And against Nottingham Forest, against Wolves last weekend as well, it must, as a Tottenham fan, it must be quite tough to watch sometimes, where it's a little bit defensive and it's hard to, Conte's a results manager. He's an exceptional manager and he will do well at Tottenham. And I think give him a couple of seasons, he will probably win a trophy. Now, which one, I don't know, but I think he would win it, give them that silverware they're crying out for and craving. But as you know, with Conte, sometimes it does come with a cost, which is the football isn't always the most glamorous, but he's interested in the end result, which is silverware. And this season, like I said, at times I've watched them, it's a bit, I don't know, I just expected better football from them, if you like. I think sometimes their players are a bit better than what they're playing, the system they're playing, but at the end of the day, they're getting the win, so it's justified, but it's a bit tough to watch. Now, at the start of the season, Gonzo, everybody expected Man City and Liverpool to be sort of comfortably the top 2. And then there was a feeling that Spurs would be the 3rd best team in England. And going by the results so far, I think it's fair to say that Liverpool haven't been as good as expected this weekend apart. And Arsenal have perhaps been a little bit better than expected. I think most people expected Arsenal to challenge for the top 4 this season. But there they are at the top of the league, looking good, playing really good football. Tottenham's in there as well. Are Tottenham in the title race? Because you're seeing Liverpool with a little bit of an iffy start. You're seeing Newcastle have a pop at Man City, score 3 goals against them. Palace have a pop at City, score 2 goals against them. And it feels like an uncharacteristic Man City Liverpool. So is there an opportunity there for Tottenham and Arsenal to launch a title attack, or is it just a bit step too far and once them 2 clubs get up and running, they'll take off from the rest of them?
I'm not sure about the two clubs because it turned into a Liverpool preview. I've really felt watching that Champions League final. I thought they need a striker and they need a central midfielder. So unless Liverpool do something in that central midfield, they were very close with City last season. I think City would probably have pulled away this season. So in terms of Liverpool, no, I think Man City will win the title. I think they'll do it before the end of the season as well. I don't think it'll go down to the last game. So I'd have to say no to that question, really. But it's that whole thing again. It's Tottenham's timing is always poor, and they've got no control over that. It's the real one was, well, as everyone calls it, the third in a 2-horse race season when Leicester won the title. Timing was against them. Their timing's just gone badly for them this season. In as much as they've got Haaland now, so they're going to be able to switch up their play. Man City can do everything that Man City used to do, plus Haaland, and their defence is only going to get better, by the way. Once he can continually play his first choice defenders at the back, which are probably Diaz and Laporte, I think it's going to be really, really hard. They'll concede less, and they'll always score loads.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just thought I'd throw a question out there. Do you think they've maybe closed the gap between themselves and Liverpool then? Do you think it's, do you know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
The gap increasing between City and Liverpool, but also decreasing between Liverpool and the likes of Tottenham?
Yeah, because I think Liverpool have, let's say, got worse. That's a little. I mean, it's amazing what they've done. Again, I covered the other day, Gio. I covered the sort of net spends of everybody. Liverpool spent nothing. Liverpool spent whatever 70, 80 million. They've recouped 70, 80 million. It's a hell of a hindrance. So I think that Liverpool have either stayed where they are or they've lost money and got a bit worse. Tottenham got better. There's no doubt about it. They made really good signings. As I say, you've got a manager in charge who's really driving them where he wants to go. Close the gap. Yeah, I think they're right. I think they're in a group. I would call them comparable with, I think they've finished above Chelsea, actually, which is a really big thing for them.
Yeah, I think they'll still finish third in the Premier League. It's early to make a prediction as well. And I think eventually I could see them finishing above Arsenal as well, despite the great start from Arsenal. I think they're untested to some extent. I think their fixtures have been kind to them at the start of the season, and they've taken advantage of those fixtures, whereas I think Tottenham's had a tougher beginning. So I do think it'll even itself out. It'll be interesting to see how they get on, especially when Champions League comes into the mix as well, how they go about it. But they've certainly assembled a strong squad there. Maybe not quite as strong as Manchester City's, but definitely they've got a good team there and a good manager, and I think they'll do quite well this season. Now, bad news for me at the weekend. Gonzo beat me once more.
Oh, did I?
You did crap. I did even worse. I was bad. I was Bournemouth at the weekend, Gonzo. I was really bad.
I had the Hurricane as captain. That's why.
I had I put Zaha in. He was unfit, and it's like, well, I've just lost one of my 11 players, haven't I? So, of course, for people that don't know, this video is sponsored by Spitch. We're referring to our fantasy football as Spitch. Me and Gonzo have a little duel going on. We've got our Hammers Chat League as well, where we want you guys to get involved. But anyway, please download the Spitch app. It's completely free to download. It's completely free to join up, and there's plenty of games on there that are completely free to play, including the Hammers Chat Mini League. This weekend on a classic free-to-play game, there is a prize pool at the minute of £529, with top prize getting £250 cash. Therefore, this app is 18 plus only and available in certain countries due to the gambling aspect of it. So while we're promoting the free-to-play game, there's cash prizes up for grabs, so you must be 18 to play. Now I've got my team ready to rock and roll. I'm going on the attack this weekend. It's a bit more of an aggressive style for me, this one, because I need to beat Gonzo. And I don't care about winning the prize. I'm not good enough to win the £250. I want to beat Gonzo. But do you want to see my team?
I'd love to. Give me an advantage.
Here is my team in goal. I've got Jordan Pickford. I've got my back trio of Collins of Wolves, as well as Dalot down that right-hand side. And I've also gone with Bella Kotchap as well from Southampton. My four in midfield, I've gone with Nunes of Wolves, Bruno Fernandes, Eze at Palace, and I've also got Pablo Fernandes of West Ham. An attacking trio of Jesus, Rodrigo of Leeds, and Erling Haaland with the skipper's armband from myself this weekend. What you saying, Gonzo?
Heinz Ketchup at the back, mate. Looks dangerous to me. Looks dangerous. I think Eze probably in for a good game. I think I can beat that.
Well, we'll see what Gonzo's team is later on in the week. But I say later on in the week. This game week kicks off on Tuesday evening. So you've only got about 36 hours to get your team. So get it downloaded on the app via the link below. Get your team in and make sure you join the Hammers Chat League as well and see how you fare against myself and Gonzo. Now, Gonzo, last question on Tottenham. As always, players you admire, please.
I thought he's bought really well, Joe. Look, Tottenham have got some world-class players, and Eric Dyer plays for them as well. I'd really
That's
like.
harsh. He's done well for them.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
He's been one of the better centre-backs in the Premier League.
Excellent. Yeah, he's good. I really like Romero. Very good player. Really like. I'm going to pick a couple of functional players here, but I feel they're key to what Conte does. Really impressed with Bentancur. Really, really impressed. Got to say, didn't know an awful lot about him, but I look at him, and there is you could just see there's a manager who's gone and got a player and said, right, I need him in my team to make my system work. I think he's absolutely exceptional. Actually, quite impressed. You're right with Dyer. He's made him better. He's got the very best out of him. He's someone like Davis, who I thought like average player, used to play on left back, I think, early on in his career. Sort of moved him in, almost plays a Cresswell role, doesn't he, really, from what I can see? And, that left side of that centre-back trio plays really well there. I think defensively he drills his team so well, he gets the very best out of them. I can't, bearing in mind he was my captain in my fantasy football, I can't praise Harry Kane highly enough. I just think he's a wonderful player. I really do. I'm very interested to see what he does, actually, Geo, because, clearly famously did the interview with Gary Neville, which was pretty much him saying, I want out. He wanted to move to City. It just ain't going to happen now because now City have got Haaland. And I do wonder, going back to what we discussed earlier, he might look around and think, actually, is there, bearing in mind I can't sign for City, he ain't going to sign for Liverpool. Is it worth me really, whatever, I don't know what his stage his contract's in, is it really worth me looking around and trying to sign for anybody else now? I'm probably, bearing in mind I'm not going to get the dream move to City, probably better off staying at Tottenham because I've probably got as much chance of winning something here as and he's very much like Alan Shearer, not in terms of playing style. Alan Shearer got his move to Blackburn. He won a trophy. So he finished. It would have been ridiculous if one of the best strikers has ever been in the Premier League didn't win a trophy. Harry Kane needs to win a trophy, really, and ideally a Premier League trophy. So that's going to be really interesting. All the usual ones. Son is obviously really good, but actually people like Sessegnon, who's not one of their best players, but you thought, okay, that hasn't worked. £30 million Fulham, that hasn't worked out. I think Conte's really good at once he identifies you, if he hasn't discarded you like Ndombele and Ali, I think, okay, I'm gonna turn you into a player and make you work for me. So yeah, really great team, mate.
Yeah, I agree with Romero. I think probably gets overlooked a little bit in discussions for the best defender in the league because he is quite aggressive and he does have that sort of, I don't want to say nasty streak, but he can be a bit like hot-headed at times and does rash tackles that he doesn't, rash fouls he doesn't really need to make. But I do think he is one of the best defenders in the league. The two players that have impressed me a lot this season for Tottenham is Højbjerg. I think, when they signed Bissouma, you look at the Tottenham team, like you said, they've got Bentancur and they think, Højbjerg's probably the one that's going to lose out here. But actually this season, and I know it's a very small data pool, it's 4 games, and I'm only talking about the 4 games, he's probably been their most impressive player when I've watched him play. Defensively, just does what he does. Fantastic reading of the game, very strong, intercepts everything, tackles, blocks. But going forward, he's really sort of added an extra dimension to his game this season. I feel his passing's fantastic. That second goal against Manchester City, against Nottingham Forest. It was the second phase of play that the goal come from with the cross from Richarlison, but the pass to Sessegnon was from Højbjerg, and it was just beautiful. Just cut that Forest defence right open. Away you go. Sessegnon should have done better, but the pass came from Højbjerg against Wolves again. I think it was like the 85th minute, and Wolves were all over them. He just picked the ball up and just went on a 40-yard run and won a throw in. And you just think, bloody hell, that guy's got an engine on him. I've just been really impressed by him. The other one is Emerson Royale. Now, when he first joined Tottenham, I was a bit suspicious about him. I thought, this guy's not good enough. He was all over the place. I thought he's very raw, very rash. But now I feel like he's quite really sort of molded into this right wing back. And, last season, Doherty was playing really well in that role, and Emerson was struggling to get in the team. He's in it now, and he's not going to lose that spot anytime soon. Really good going forward defensively, a lot better than he used to be. I think top class left wing backs or left backs will get the better of him, but I do think he's stepped up quite a lot under Conte in the last few months. And the man that impresses me quite a lot is Kulusevski. What a player he is. I didn't know much about him before he arrived at Tottenham in January. And then as soon as he arrived, though, that front three just clicked, and they were unbelievable. Them three to watch last season were scary. They would just get the ball, go on a counter-attack, and end up in the back of the net quite often, the three of them. And it was always Son and Kane, Son and Kane, Son and Kane, Kane and Son, Kane. And it's not anymore. It's now Son, Kane and Kulusevski. And that's dangerous. Tottenham have got three world-class players in that attack that read each other's games so well, link up really well. They create chances, just them three. They don't need the rest of them. The other 8 can sit back and let them 3 go. And between the 3 of them, they will create clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities for each other during 90 minutes. And you see them against Wolves, against Forest, where they're under the cosh, they're defending. But all it takes is one attack, and bang, bang, bang. They've got a chance. You're like, hang on a minute, you don't have the ball for 5 minutes. Now suddenly you're 1-0 up because of you 3. What a signing he's been, an absolute talent. Anyway, enough about Tottenham. Let's discuss West Ham United. Now the team news is Ben Johnson is looking unlikely to be available for Wednesday night. He went off injured against Aston Villa at the weekend. Looked like a hamstring injury, but he has gone off. So he's unlikely at present to feature. And West Ham may have a new signing. At the time of recording, Lucas Paqueta, or how do you say it, Gonzo? What's the Brazilian?
Paqueta.
That one. I'm going to call him Paqueta for now, though. May be available, may not be available. He's yet to sign on the dotted line. However, if he's signed before midday on Tuesday, he can be included in the squad to face Spurs on Wednesday night. So West Ham United may have a new £60 million player in the squad on Wednesday evenings. At the time of recording, not yet signed. Medical's done. His lawyers are checking it over, is where we're at the minute, but we're hoping that we'll have an announcement this evening with our new signing. But, well, let's do the team, Gonzo, our hypothetical teams. And I feel it's quite difficult this week. I've got a little bit of sympathy for David Moyes. This isn't an easy team to pick, formation or personnel. In the past, it sort of picks itself a little bit. But for this one, he's got options all over the pitch, really. And that was something that was quite pleasing against Brighton and again against Aston Villa when the team came out. Okay, would have liked to see Benrahma, but when you saw the bench, Areola, Soufal, Ogbonna, Lanzini, Cornet, Antonio, Benrahma, wow, that is a Premier League. We've got squad depth now, and that gives us options. So I guess the first question is, what formation do you want to see? Because I'm in and I'm about this, if I'm honest with you.
Makes our videos longer over the course of the season, Geo. We would just name our first 11 before. Now we sit here, each video, once you get to the end of the season, the average time of the video is probably going to extend while we sit here and think about our squad depth.
I'll be honest with you, when I was writing it down,
you run out of ink.
I write all my questions and notes on a bit of paper, right? So I write all that down, and I do my little team on the side. And I wrote in Fabianski, and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm going to need to think about this, actually. So I had to get a little stick-it note and write down the possible combinations I wouldn't mind seeing. So as you can see there, I've got 2 different formations. I've got a back 3, and then I've got a back 4, but I've also got 2 different back 4s that we could play with the rest of the team. Lots of different options. I thought, I don't even know what I want to see. I've settled on one, but this is why I've got a little bit of sympathy for David Moyes, because against Tottenham, you have to go back and look at Tottenham's last few games to decide what you want to do. Against Nottingham Forest, they play like a 3-4-2-1 kind of formation, but it was a really interchangeable front 3 from Forest with Gibbs White, Jesse Lingard, and Brennan Johnson. That 3, they're all moving about. It wasn't static, and it worked. They caused Tottenham a lot of problems. But this previous weekend against Wolves were all over them in the first half, and they were playing a 4-3-3. So there's an example of a back 4 and a back 3 both working against Spurs. Now, both teams obviously lost the game. However, chances were created. Spurs were under the caution both. And I think you can take real encouragement from both performances. And I think in a weird way, it would be easier if Tottenham wiped one of them, just ripped into one of them, because you could say, right, don't play like that against Tottenham because they'll rip you apart. But both performances were encouraging. I think that actually provides Moyes a bit of a dilemma, which is actually back four works, but so does a back three, so take your pick. But what would you like to see?
I'd like to see a way to get Benrahma and Paqueta into the team, basically. And I don't think that's doable with the three at the back, if you know what I mean. I'd like to see the continuation. I want to see more of this defensive partnership between Azuma and Keira. That's good. I like that. I think the temptation is to try and bring Ogbonna back in because of Zuma, but this is a really big game. And the interesting thing about this game is Tottenham sat back a lot against Forest, as you alluded to. Tottenham want teams to come at them, and I don't think we're going to do that. And I don't even think we should do that. This might be a very boring game, by the way. So I'd actually go with, on this one, but I'd actually go with Areola in goal. I'd go with a back four of Sufal, Keira, Zuma, and I would go with Emerson for reasons of pace.
I would go. I've done mine now. Fabianski stays in goal for me. My back four, I've gone Keira right back, who's played right back plenty times in his career. Zuma and Ogbonna in the middle, and Craswell left back. I appreciate the pace one. As you can see, when I did my my little note, I had like a E/AC because I thought, I could give reasons for both. Emerson to me didn't look that impressive against Aston Villa in these 45 minutes. It was quite a bland showing from him. Didn't do anything wrong, just didn't do anything right either. So for that reason, I've gone with Craswell. But I have to admit, I was a bit hesitant, which is, well, I think he's done fine this season, and a lot of people disagreed with me in the comments of our preview for the Villa game. I stand by it. I think he's done fine in the Premier League, and he's had another fine performance against Aston Villa as well. So that's 4 now. So for that reason, I'll go with Craswell. Keira, because on the ball, very comfortable. Sufal, I'm not feeling it this season so far. And Ogbonna has looked good. So I'd bring him in for this one. And it also gives you that flexibility with those three on the pitch. That if it's not working, you can switch formation without making a substitution. Now, let's see how you line up in midfield then.
Well, I will go with with Rice and Souček there. And Paqueta right in front of him, mate. Right in front of him. Actually, but quite tight when needed. You'd never describe this guy as a defensive midfielder, but he will track back and he will attempt to tackle, which means he can try and keep the shape. So the important thing is we don't get outnumbered in midfield when we don't have the ball. But there's something lacking from our attacking play, which has been to be fair, Fornals is trying to do it, and there have been, I'd say over the last couple of games, last 2 or 3 games, a lot of our incisive, quick forward passes have been from Fornals. The pass that counts on the counter-attack, you know. So I'd want Paqueta in there to do that, but also be able to. He's not going to ever quite match Fornals' work rate, but he will certainly produce more in terms of an attacking threat. And we also need to have some threat. You talk about Tottenham's front three. I want Tottenham to look at our team and think, well, actually, they've got 3 players that we quite fear, you know. So, that would be my sort of middle 3, if you like.
Yeah, I've gone with Rice, Souček, and Paqueta as well. As a midfield 3, though, not necessarily in the 10, as 3 actual centre midfielders. I think against Aston Villa, watching that first 45, you can see what Moyes is wanting from that midfield. The problem is, all 3 are hard-working. All 3 will put a shift in, get the tackles in. But when it comes to doing something, they struggled. They struggled a lot. And even in the second half, when we were a little bit more creative and the football got a little bit better, it wasn't necessarily coming from any of those 3. At times, Rice did a couple of nice passes as well, but it was mainly give it to Benrahma, and Benrahma will do something. But I think we need creativity, and Tottenham will sit back against us. Even if they go a goal up, they'll sit even further back. So therefore, they almost become a low block team, and we struggle against them badly. So getting Paqueta in the team there just allows us to open that up, and also just gives a massive buzz around the stadium before kickoff that the new boys in the team, the new 60 million man's in there. So yes, Rice, Souček, and Paqueta for me. I think Souček had a good game against Aston Villa, his better game this season so far. And Rice massively stepped up in the second half. So that's a strong midfield trio, I'd suggest. But I've got a feeling we're not going to see Paqueta, even if we sign him. I've got a feeling we'll see him on the bench. But anyway, that leaves you 3 attacking players. Now, Saïd Benrahma has to start.
Yep.
He has to. First name on the team sheet, as far as I'm concerned. He's got to play. That leaves us 2 more. Who are you going for?
I'll go. I'll go with Benrahma on the right. I'm going with Cornet on the left, and I'm going with Scamacca in the middle because I want crosses. I think they're going to be hard to break down, so I want crosses. I mean, a lot of crosses coming in. Our striker's 6'5", and I think he's getting better. And I think he could drop deep and he can link up with whoever's going to run past him, and these players to run past him. But I want quick crosses, and for that reason, I don't want people checking in on their weaker foot. So I want Benrahma on the right, and if he gets the opportunity to cross, I want him to cross it. On Cornet on the left, he gets the opportunity to cross, you wrap your left foot around it, you get it in there, because as good, and I think we've mentioned all their defenders, haven't we, already in this preview? Clearly, we think they're all good players. And particularly Romero's got a lot of the darker arts. What they can't do between now and then is grow in height. And so I think we've got to try and utilise one advantage that we've got, particularly if they're going to be hard to break down. Corners could be key as well. So, I'd play that. Now, I've dropped Bowen, and I do think Bowen is close to coming good. But I do think Bowen is best when we play a counter-attacking game and there's space in behind. I think that's when you see Bowen at his best. I'm not sure that's going to happen in this game. So you may well find that they do sit a bit deep. And you may find we have to cross from deep, not from the byline. It's just not going to be. Bowen will be there. He'll check onto his left foot. He'll try and dribble inside. Just something a little bit different, mate. And I think that would give Conte something else to think about, basically.
Yeah, I've gone for the same. Opposite sides for Benrahma and Cornet. I'd prefer Cornet on the right, cutting in on the left to get the shots away, and same with Benrahma. There is a temptation to play Antonio, and if I'm honest with you, before the Aston Villa game, I was inclined to start Antonio for this one, regardless of what happened, because I feel that you will get some opportunities to counter-attack, and Antonio does well against Tottenham. His previous performances against Spurs are good. He's got 6 goals against Tottenham in 9 starts. He's not scored any goals against one opponent. Watford, he's got 7 against. Apart from that, Tottenham's next best at 6. He loves playing Spurs. And I almost feel bad leaving him out. But when he came on the pitch against Villa, our attack died. Scamacca went off. He came on. And it's not a like-for-like substitution. But I just felt like our attack just was null and void at that point. And until that substitution was made, I thought we were looking a little bit better. I thought Benrahma was looking good. I thought Fornals and Bowen were getting up the pitch. We were getting the ball into Scamacca. And then we did one substitution, which was the striker. And I felt after that point where nothing happened. And I know Antonio didn't get any service and stuff, but hang on a minute. We've not changed anything else. It's not like we've took off Bowen and put Cornet on. Well, that's the reason the creativity or the attack has changed. So there was a few times Ball went up to Antonio. It was a timid battle between him and the centre backs, and it was very un-Antonio-like performance, and I was a bit disappointed by him actually. And I just thought, well, now I'm probably more inclined to see Scamacca, and I know most people will want to see him because he didn't play bad against Villa. But one thing we have to do is get people close to him. In the first half, I know Jared Bowen was technically a striker next to him, and he was close to him, but that was it. It was just the two of them. There was 20 yards at times between Scamacca and Fornals. It was far too much pitch in between the midfield and attack. We can't have that. And I think part of that came down to the formation with the wing backs, which is Emerson and Johnson, and then Soufal. They weren't getting up the pitch high enough, but even when they were still some distance away from the strikers. So we can't have that. I want to see a bit of what we saw in Denmark with Cornet, Benrahma and Scamacca, funnily enough. That trio, it was against a poor team, a mid-table Danish side. But the way they were moving, the way they were interacting, the way that Cornet was going behind Scamacca and playing on the shoulder of defenders, and Scamacca would drop 5 yards deeper and just drag a centre-back out of position with him. That's what I want to see. We were missing that against Villa. Scamacca was pretty static, wasn't too much movement from him. Bowen wasn't really linking up with him in a partnership where we saw Skamaka and Cornet and Ben Rama, I just felt like that the dynamic between that three was a lot more promising last Thursday. And I want to see that three start on Wednesday night. But, the bench would then, if you go with our attack, the bench would then consist of Mikel Antonio, Jared Bowen, Pablo Fornals. That's a brilliant attacking bench there for David Moyes to change it if needs be. And pressure's off a little bit, Gonzo. We've got our first win, got our first goal, albeit a massive helping hand. But still an important game.
Yeah, I think it is an important game, certainly. But gives it just be a better vibe around the training ground, around the club. I mean, that was always the key. I thought that was the key to have a good week, to beat Viborg, to get into the group stages of the Conference League, to then beat Villa, and then to make our record ever signing. You can only imagine the buzz that there'll be around the club. Oh, crikey, what's he like? Can't wait to see him in training. Can't wait for this. West Ham, we're spending 50 million or whatever it might be. That's really good. There's three really good feel-good factors, which could just, doesn't mean turn your season around, but can turn a sort of basically a gloomy place to work into a good place to work. And I don't even just mean the players. I mean the people in the media team that do the little Twitter clips. Oh, Paqueta's coming in. We're right. Okay, let's do our stuff. Everyone's gonna be buzzing, and I think it's really, really important actually. And so I think there'll be an uplift, a general uplift in mood. We talk about small margins and all the rest of it. That's really got to help. And I do think maybe Tottenham will look at it. Tottenham won't be taking all that into account. Tottenham fans will be thinking, "Oh, West Ham are crap again," and look at them. They're down the bottom. They've had a couple of good seasons, and now they're back where they should be, and all of that sort of thing. And I do hope. I don't think Conte will let Tottenham not take us seriously, but it's a very, very important game, mate.
Yeah, I think we can now look forward to this game. If we hadn't won yesterday against Villa, I'd been dreading this one. I mean, even to be fair, watching Tottenham in the first 10 minutes against Forest, I was thinking, oh no, I can't be bothered with this Tottenham on Wednesday night, because you can imagine them ripping us up to bits. Because while we won, it wasn't a wonderful performance from us. We weren't great. It was a lucky goal. You could argue we didn't even deserve the 3 points. Much better in the second half, but certainly the first half was dire. So we're not coming into it with our tails up kind of thing. But I do think the pressure's off a little bit for us, because we've got the win now. Tottenham are firm favourites going into this game. The expectancy is Tottenham will win. And I don't know. I just think the game's probably setting up quite well for us going into this one. We've got a few players in form, but not enough, not 11. And like I said, when it comes to David Moyes selecting his team, I've got a little bit of sympathy for him this week. It's not an easy decision to make, and usually last season you'd have a decision to make: Ben Rama or Fornals or Lanzini. You had to pick two of them three. That was it. The back four picked itself. Rice and Souček, Antonio, Bowen. What's the other two players going to be this week, Dave? He's not got that now. He's got to pick his formation, then he's got to pick the personnel, or does he pick the personnel first and then the formation? Because we didn't start Ben Rama, and I've said in 2 or 3 videos, I'll say it again, I could understand why, because of the formation Moyes wanted to play with that 3-5-2. Where does Ben Rama go? He's not a striker and he's not a centre midfielder, so we almost didn't have a position for him. Well, we can't afford that this on Wednesday. We need a position for Saeed Ben Rama, so we can't stay with that 5-3-2 again. If he does, Ben Rama's going to be striker. So I've got a bit of sympathy for him, but I'm looking forward to this game, actually. I am actually find myself rubbing my hands a bit, saying, come on then, boys, let's have a performance, a little bit of grit about us, and have a pop at Tottenham, and we could get something, because we've won our last 2 home games against them. London Stadium's becoming a bit of a tougher place for Spurs to visit in recent seasons. Are you confident?
I wouldn't say I was confident. I'm more confident against Chelsea, actually, because I think, I do. I think Tottenham are better than Chelsea, actually. Be just our luck that funny enough, we get to the Chelsea game and Chelsea going, I don't know, sign somebody brilliant. Anyway, confident for this game? I can't say I'm confident. No, I think Tottenham are really good team. Annoyingly so. But I don't think we're dead and buried in this, Geo.
I'm not either. I think, yes, we've got the win, but like I said, the performance itself wasn't the best. They have world-class players. We could potentially be signing a potential world-class player, but The thing that worries me is always when we play Spurs is we can't handle Harry Kane. He drops off into that sort of area between our centre backs and centre midfield, and usually he's got the freedom of the park in there. We don't really know what to do. We never really seem to have a bit of a plan. Does the centre back go, or do we leave him and hope that Declan Rice drops back and picks him up? And we tend to do neither. We tend to just leave him, and then that's when Kane can really hurt us. And that was when Kane only had Son to aim for. He's now got Kulusevski as well. So that concerns me a bit. I think that way that Harry Kane plays, because like I say, he's a world-class striker, but he's also a world-class number 10. He's world-class at 2 different positions, 2 different roles, and it's difficult to get hold of him at times. And I think we're one of the teams that really struggle with picking him up, and that gives me a little bit of nerves. And while I have sympathy for David Moyes with his team selection, I find it difficult to be confident that David Moyes is going to pick the right formation and the right personnel in order to get something out of this game, because he got it wrong against Villa. Credit to him, he changed it at half time, and that helped us. We went on to win the game, but that first 45, he got it wrong. We went in 0-0 at half time because we were playing Aston Villa. If we were playing Tottenham or Man City or Brighton or somebody more clinical, better.
I love that. Tottenham, Man City, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Brighton.
Well, Brighton were beating us at half time.
Mate, yeah, listen, yeah, mate.
You can't say I'm wrong. It was factually correct.
You know. I go every season fearing Brighton.
But if we were playing a better team on Sunday, we could have went in easily a goal down at half time, and he would have had to change it. But he would have been changing it to get back into the game rather than to win it. So I'm not confident for this one, unfortunately. I want to be. I love playing Tottenham. I know they'll say it's your cup final. Our cup final will be in June in Prague when we play in the Europa Conference League final. Thank you very much.
Right.
But I don't mind it getting labelled up as that because, yes, it is a big game. It's a big game for both fans. I don't know why anybody tries to deny it. That's a huge game. But this is important in football. Football rivalry is important. What makes football so entertaining and attractive to watch. I don't have an issue with it. And I hope we do treat it like a cup final. I want to see tough tackles going in. I thought Souček and Moyes put in a few good, strong tackles early doors at Villa Park. I want to see that on Wednesday evening. I want to see a plan from Moyes, and I want to see big performances from big players. So any final words from yourself, Gonzo, as well as that all-important score prediction?
Start well. If it was away, which it's not, I'd be saying keep the crowd quiet. We don't want to keep the crowd quiet. We want the crowd loud. So we're going to have to start bright, and we're going to have to get some attacks going. And it's very hard to, I think, any time to quiet down away fans. And I include that in us because away fans just, I don't care. They've travelled up the motorway or whatever on the tube or whatever it is if you're a London derby. But, so I think that's difficult anyway. Is the wall still up? Do you know if the wall's still up? Yeah,
the stupid wall still up.
Okay. Apologies to Tottenham fans for the wall. Not our fault. Score prediction. I think they're going to win, Gio. I know I've got a reputation for predicting every West Ham win. I don't. I think Tottenham are going to win 2-1. But I do think. I think we're going to play well, and I think we'll take enough promise out of it. And obviously, I can't give my Chelsea prediction now, but I think I've got a feeling we're going to lose to Tottenham and beat Chelsea. Is what I feel. There you go.
For all the reasons I've said so far in this preview, not confident, and our creativity was poor against Aston Villa. We scored with a massive deflection, and I know you got to be in it to win it and all that stuff, but you can't rely on that. You can't say, "Are you going to beat Tottenham?" Well, we're hoping Ben Rama's going to have a shot from 25 yards and Højbjerg's going to stick his leg out and is going to loop in. It's not a way of winning. Set pieces, usually our strength. We've been pretty average at them at best recently. So I'm going to say West Ham 0, Tottenham 1, unfortunately. I'm going to go for Tottenham winning as well. There you go. There is our preview. West Ham United against Spurs. It's honest. That's all we could do is be honest. If we sit here predicting wins, what's the point in that? Hopefully, we're both incorrect, though. Let us know the team you'd like to see David Moyes select, because there's big calls to be made in the comments below. We'll be back on Wednesday evening. It's a 7:45 kickoff, so we'll be live at 6:40 on Wednesday evening. Enjoy this preview. Drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to Ham's Chat. I'll catch you in a bit.